To be remembered with love is not merely about the accolades we receive or the wealth we accumulate. It is about the invisible fingerprints we leave on the hearts of others. It is about becoming a memory that warms rather than wounds, a presence that lingers long after the body is gone, a story passed on in whispers and smiles, a name spoken with a tear and a grateful sigh. It begins not in grand gestures, but in the small daily choices that reflect our true essence. When we speak with kindness, when we listen without judgment, when we offer a hand not because we must, but because we care. These are the seeds of love we plant in the gardens of others' lives, and from these seeds grow the legacy that outlives time and breath. Love is not something you can demand or script into permanence. It is something you live through actions consistent and sincere. To be remembered with love, you must make people feel seen, valued, heard. It means choosing compassion over convenience, empathy over ego, and grace over grudges each time we uplift someone else. We carve a mark into the soul of the universe, a mark that tells the story of who we were, not by our possessions, but by the love we gave freely and the healing we offered silently. When people look back, they will not remember the shoes you wore or the car you drove. They will remember how you made them feel in their moments of despair, how your words became their strength and your presence their safe place. They will remember your laughter, your encouragement, your honesty, and your ability to sit in silence with them during storms when no one else stayed. To be remembered with love is to become a safe memory, a sanctuary in the minds of those we've touched, and a chapter in the book of their lives that they will never skip. When you choose to live intentionally, to put love at the center of every interaction, you slowly become irreplaceable. Not because of status, but because of sincerity. To love well is to live well, and to live well is to be remembered with reverence. The world is full of people who speak, but not enough, who truly connect. There's a difference between being liked and being cherished. The former is fleeting, the latter eternal. The key to being remembered with love is not found in the loud moments, but in the quiet consistency of care, being the one who shows up when it matters most, being the one who remembers birthdays, who holds hands in hospitals, who listens to stories they've already heard and laughs at jokes that no longer surprise. The true measure of our life is how deeply we have made others feel loved, not for what they can give us, but for who they are. To live this way requires courage, because love always does. It asks us to forgive even when it hurts, to understand even when it's hard, and to give even when we feel empty ourselves. It demands presence, not perfection, showing up even when it's inconvenient, choosing love. Even when the world offers hate, people remember those who made them better, who gave them hope, who taught them how to live, not with fear, but with fire and with faith. You must dare to be vulnerable, because it's in vulnerability that connection is born. You must dare to share your stories, not your polished perfection, but your messy truth. You must be willing to say, "I'm sorry," and mean it. You must be brave enough to say, "I love you," and live it. The heart remembers what the mind forgets, and it holds on to those who made it feel safe. Even in chaos, being remembered with love also means creating moments of magic in the mundane, dancing in the kitchen, singing off-key, giving compliments without restraint, sending messages that say, "I was thinking of you," just because, surprising someone not with gifts, but with presence, with time, with attention. It means being the person who others turn to, not because they have to, but because they want to, because you have made them feel like they matter more than anything. To be remembered with love means leaving people better than you found them. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. It means being honest when a lie would be easier, being kind when anger would be justified, and being loyal when walking away would be simpler. The people who are remembered with love are those who chose the harder path because they knew the reward wasn't in comfort, but in connection. They are the ones who took the time to know your dreams and never laughed at them, who showed up at your worst and never judged you for it, who celebrated your wins as if they were their own and stood by you when you had nothing to offer. These are the people who become memories that hurt in the best way, the kind of pain that reminds us we once had something beautiful, something sacred, something real. If you want to be remembered with love, you must learn to love unconditionally, not just those who are easy to love, but also those who challenge you, who frustrate you, who test your patience. Because true love is not selective, it is boundless. It does not depend on convenience or comfort. It grows in difficulty and proves itself in adversity. It's also about teaching, not by lecturing, but by living, being the example of integrity, compassion, and grace. It's about showing the next generation How to love through action. Not advice, how to apologize through humility. Not pride, how to serve through sacrifice, not for show, but for soul. When you live like this, you become the kind of person whose name brings warmth, not wounds, whose memory brings smiles, not shadows. And when you leave this world, your legacy will not be in stone or on paper, but in the tears shed in gratitude and the stories told in honor. People will say, she loved deeply, he gave without expecting, he made me feel like I mattered. And they will pass your story to their children, not as a tale of success, but as a lesson in love. A life remembered with love is one that has touched others in ways that even you may never realize. A kind word that prevented a breakdown. A shared silence that brought peace. A simple smile that changed the course of someone's day. These are not accidents. They are acts of love that ripple through time, creating waves that carry your name long after you are gone. In every choice you make, you are either building your legacy of love or eroding it. And that choice begins anew each morning, with each conversation, with each opportunity to care, to be generous, to be kind. The world doesn't need more impressive people. It needs more loving ones. Not those who shine temporarily, but those who warm forever. Your name can be a prayer or a curse, a gift or a ghost. What makes a difference is not how you died, but how you lived. Not what you earned, but what you gave. Not what you built, but what you shared. Because in the end, no one remembers the empire. They remember the embrace. No one recalls the schedule, but they recall the smile. No one talks about your resume, but they never forget how you made them feel. The greatest legacy is a heart left behind in 1,000 other hearts. The truest success is a soul etched into the souls of others, not by manipulation or performance, but by love. Raw, real, and resilient. Live today in such a way that if tomorrow never comes, you have already left behind a lifetime of light. And remember this: to be remembered with love is not a goal to chase. It is a way to live when you choose love daily, fiercely, unconditionally. You do not need to worry about legacy because you are already living it. And as you continue to walk through the days ahead, know that every act of goodness, no matter how small, etches itself into the heart of someone who needed it in ways you may never witness. Sometimes being remembered with love is about being invisible at the right time, giving someone else the spotlight, helping quietly, celebrating others without needing the credit for it. Love is humble. It does not demand applause. It whispers through your presence. Your sacrifices, your time, when you choose humility over pride and service over self-interest. Your memory becomes a balm long after your voice goes silent. People do not remember those who had the most, they remember those who gave the most, not in wealth, but in warmth and spirit and sincerity. When you live as someone who chooses understanding over judgment, curiosity over condemnation, and healing over hurt, you begin to write a legacy not with ink, but with empathy. You become the person whose name is carried like a candle through dark rooms, whose story is told not with pity, but with reverence. A life remembered with love is a life that was lived with depth, not how far you traveled, but how deeply you connected. Not how many knew your name, but how many felt known by you. To love well is to become immortal in the minds of those who were changed by your touch. It is to enter the sacred hall of memory reserved for those who showed up for life in all its messiness and gave it everything they had. The world forgets the performers, but never forgets the healers. Those who sat with grief, those who made space for pain, those who turned suffering into strength and shared that strength generously. These are the people we carry in our hearts, the ones whose love had fingerprints and whose absence echoes louder than fame ever could. If you want to be remembered with love, be the kind of person who speaks life into people when the world tries to bury them. Be the voice that reminds them of their worth when they've forgotten. Be the eyes that see beauty in their brokenness and the hands that help rebuild what has been shattered. This is the love that remains long after flowers fade and gravestones gather. Moss it is also in the way. You forgive the grudges you let die, the resentment you refuse to water. Every act of letting go is an act of love, not just for the other, but for yourself, because bitterness corrodes legacy, while forgiveness fertilizes it. When you choose to rise above hurt and offer peace instead of payback, you show the world a better way. And people remember that. They remember the one who didn't fight fire with fire, but with faith, who didn't add to the noise, but offered a sanctuary of silence, who didn't shout, but listened, who didn't run away, but stayed. These are the legacies written not in gold, but in grace, not in monuments, but in memories to be remembered with love. Is to leave a trail of hearts you help mend and lives you help lift. Love is in the consistency, not the occasion, not just in the grand gestures, but in the steady presence. It's texting someone out of the blue because you had a feeling. It's noticing when someone's spirit is dimming and sitting beside them without trying to fix them. It's holding space, not just giving advice. It's remembering what matters to someone and treating it with care. It's also about being honest brutally at times, but always beautifully, because truth said with love transforms when you have the courage to say what needs to be said in a way that heals instead of harms. You become a lighthouse in the storm, someone who can be trusted, someone who can be missed, someone who is loved even when they're not liked, because their truth has always been rooted in love. People will not remember what you bought them, but they will remember how you made them feel about themselves, about the world, about possibility. If you were a mirror that showed them their beauty, a compass that reminded them of their path, a voice that told them they mattered, then you have done what few can you have, become a home inside the heart of another. Being remembered with love is about showing up, especially when no one else does. It's about being a shoulder when someone needs to cry and a wall when they need to lean. It's about holding hands in darkness and reminding people of the light within them when they've forgotten how to see. It's about believing in others when they've stopped believing in themselves and walking beside them until they remember how to love again. To be remembered with love, you must love through your flaws, not in spite of them. Your imperfections are what make your love relatable. Your scars are what give your compassion weight when people know you have suffered and still choose to serve. They don't just admire you, they cherish you because you have become a living testament that love can survive anything and still give more. A heart remembered with love is one that bleeds for others, yet still beats strong enough to give again and again. It is a heart that listens more than it speaks, that hugs longer, that says, I'm proud of you, I'm here for you. I see you, you matter, and means it every single time. Such a heart becomes immortal in memory, not because it sought attention, but because it gave it freely and constantly. There is also a responsibility in being remembered with love. It means you don't get to live only for yourself. Your legacy is not yours alone. It belongs to everyone you've touched and taught and lifted and loved. It means realizing that your time, your energy, your presence, all of it matters because people will mirror you in moments you won't be there for. They will parent like you love, like you lead, like you. They will whisper your sayings to their children and repeat your advice to their friends and cry your tears on their hardest days. And in that way, you will never truly be gone. You will live on in their choices, in their kindness, in their strength. You become their inner voice, their quiet guide, their favorite story. And that is a kind of immortality no wealth can purchase. You must choose to live today as the ancestor of the people you love. How do you want them to remember you? Not just when you're gone, but now when your name is mentioned in a room. What feelings rise? What memories surface? What impact does your spirit still have? If you want to be remembered with love, you must build a life full of sacred moments. Not perfect ones, but real ones. Moments where you held someone so tight they forgot the world was broken, where you gave without a second thought, where you showed up not for recognition, but because your soul whispered, go. These are the moments that echo through eternity. When you live like this, you won't have to ask to be remembered. People will do so naturally. They won't visit your grave out of obligation. They'll sit there and talk to you because your presence is still felt. They won't need reminders of your worth because your life was a constant demonstration of it. They'll teach their children about you, not as a myth, but as a model. This is what it means to live a life of legacy, not one written in headlines, but in heartlines, where every pulse of your presence left a rhythm in the lives of those around you. To be remembered with love is to give so much of your heart that even when it stops beating, its echoes still guide others back to the best parts of themselves. And in the end, as the curtain closes and your name becomes a memory, let it be one spoken with warmth and reverence. Let it bring tears of gratitude, not grief of regret. Let your life be a reminder that love was always the answer, the purpose, the calling, and the reward. Because to be remembered with love is not just to be missed, it is to be honored, lived through, and loved still. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories and life-changing insights. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment that could inspire your journey. Your support means everything. Thank you for being part of this community.